Welcome back to the World Lens podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Evans, Senior Manager of Digital Marketing at WTCI. And today I am joined by WTCI member Pete Menzies, President of the Terminal Corporation. Welcome, Pete.
Pleasure to be here, Michelle. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. We are so happy you were able to do this. So let's start by telling everybody, what exactly does Terminal Corp do?
So the Terminal Corporation, TTC as we call it, has evolved a bit over the years. But right now, TTC is a management entity. It provides professional services like sales, marketing, HR, accounting, et cetera, to power two operating entities: Terminal Transportation Services, TTS, and Terminal Warehouse Company, TWC. So a little bit about these two entities. TTS primarily provides intermodal drayage, which is when a truck goes to a port or a rail yard, has a container mounted on a chassis for over-the-road transit. They also offer regional dry van flatbed delivery services within 150 air miles of Baltimore and also Jacksonville, Florida. So TWC Terminal Warehouse Company is our warehousing operation. And between the facilities in Baltimore and Jacksonville, it totals about 1.5 million square feet. It's a blend of public and contract warehousing for any non-hazmat cargo. And beyond unloading the containers that TTS brings to the warehouse, TWC has a range of modalities that we can accommodate, like domestic truck transfers, boxcars, center beam or flat rail cars, and direct discharge break bulk cargoes with the support of Rucker Terminals, our neighbor in Baltimore. And once the cargo's in our warehouse, we'll perform any value add or prep work required and load it out for delivery to its end destination. So to simplify it, I just like telling people we pick things up and we put them down.
That's an easy way to say that. So How does one start a company like this? How did this company get started?
Well, the company was founded in 1893 by the Pennsylvania Railroad, and it's really founded to support the growth of the Port of Baltimore. It served as a key logistics hub. It stored and handled commodities like flour, hay, grain, and other dry goods moving through the Port of Baltimore and other inland markets along the Pennsylvania Railroad network. It was established to help streamline cargo flows between ships, rail cars, and end consumers at home and abroad as the port activity grew. Baltimore started to evolve into one of the nation's leading manufacturing cities through the early mid-1900s, and that's when the company expanded its services to kind of support these local manufacturing companies. When the region became the home of major producers in steel, shipbuilding, automotive, canning, and heavy machinery, Terminal Warehouse Company then began handling the materials, components, and finished goods to support these industries.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't always a family company. When did it become a family company?
No, it was not always a family business. So in the mid-1960s, the Pennsylvania Railroad, its profitability was declining, and the railroad started divesting some non-core assets. One of them was TWC. Around that time, my great-grandfather, John T. Menzies Sr., was on the board of the railroad, and he also worked for a company called Cross and Blackwell. Long story short, Cross and Blackwell was bought out. My grandfather wasn't too happy about it, so he resigned. He stayed on the board of the railroad, and when he heard that TWC was for sale in 1964, he was still jobless at that point. He teamed up with his two sons, John Jr. and Alan, to buy it, and that's when the company was then rebranded as the Terminal Corporation.
Oh, that's cool. We have another WTCI member who is in the logistics industry, which is also a multi-generational family company. Is that something that's common in this industry, or is it just kind of like a big coincidence?
I'm assuming you're talking about Ryan and the Polikoff family with Nexteris.
I am.
What used to be the Transportation Bureau of Baltimore, another great company, great team. I think we might be overdue for our quarterly happy hour, so I'll have to shoot him a text on that. But
Nice.
it does seem pretty common in logistics. I guess all of our parents and grandparents must have been really great salespeople. I think a lot of us grew up in the industry before we really realized that we were choosing it. So if I had to guess why, I'd say the logistics industry rewards trust, consistency, local expertise, and long-term commitment. And in my humble opinion, I think family businesses really tend to excel at these things. It's a model that's really built on doing right by people, showing up every day and sticking around for the long haul. And I think that many other family companies in this space, certainly the Polikoffs, understand that.
Yeah, it's good to kind of show that longevity. So when you're pitching to a client, what's the one thing they should know about the difference between working with, say, a family company versus a corporate-owned logistics company?
The biggest difference, I would say, with a family-run logistics company, the people making the commitments are the same people making the decisions. You're not navigating layers of corporate structure. You get direct access, faster answers, genuine accountability. We treat every shipment like it matters because our reputation really rides on every move. And family businesses work. It isn't just a job for us. It's our name. It's our family brand. And as much as my wife hates it, it's usually our dinner conversation. So we move fast. We own our decisions. And if something isn't right, we'll fix it.
That's good. Oh, your poor wife.
I know. She's the same.
So who wrote the rad story about the groovy founding of Terminal Transportation Services?
I'm really not too sure who wrote the story. I believe it was the previous president of DTS showing off their creative writing skills. But yeah, DTS started back in 1981, hauling essentials like baby formula around Baltimore. It's not the flashiest freight, but very vital when you think about it. Now that I've got two kids, I fully understand the stakes. So we've grown since then, pivoting largely to drayage and with the Seagirt Marine Terminal opening in 1990. But the goal hasn't changed, keep the important stuff moving.
Nice. So a lot has changed over the last century with logistics. How has the Terminal Corp evolved to remain an important partner for its clients and customers?
A lot has changed in logistics over the last century. We've gone from horse-drawn drays to diesel and now electric trucks, and from clipboards and memory to real-time data, visibility platforms, and automation. Customers expect speed, transparency, and accuracy, the Amazon experience, but applied to industrial cargoes. We've stayed relevant by aligning with those expectations. For us, that means being a reliable partner who gets in front of issues, that mitigates fees and delays like demurrage and detention, that protects product and quality, and keeps drivers turning quickly. At the end of the day, we need to execute safely, and that's where we put our focus. In 2026, though, we have a heavy focus on technology, and we'll be exploring some new tools and processes to improve visibility for our customers. But we can't ever lose sight of the basics, which is we need to move freight safely and efficiently, solve problems fast, treat people well, and have a little fun along the way.
Nice. You mentioned the technology advancements. So you guys have been around for a really long time to see like all these technological evolutions and revolutions. Which innovations actually move the needle for you versus which was more like hyped up than it was?
So actually, Terminal Corp helped develop one of the first warehouse management systems in the 1970s called T-Logic. I never had a chance to use it, but from what I've heard, it was pretty cutting edge for its time and definitely saved everybody from drowning in paper logs. More broadly, though, warehouse management systems have been one of the biggest game changers in our industry by turning what used to be clipboards, chalk, and memory into structured, trackable data. Another major leap was probably the introduction of RF handhelds. That really moved the needle for us through tighter inventory control, better accuracy, faster picking times, real updates on the floor, and it really elevated the whole operation, just made us more efficient, responsive, and dependable for our customers. On the hype side, I'd probably say blockchain. There's been a lot of buzz around that. Yeah. But for us, we really haven't felt any real world impact, at least right now.
Okay. So switching gears, how did the Key Bridge collapse impact your business?
Well, the federal shipping channel was shut down for 11 weeks, so it impacted us pretty dramatically. No vessels could get in or out of Baltimore, which meant our trucks had no containers to pick up at Seagirt. Then we had to track where all the cargo originally destined for Baltimore was being diverted to. Norfolk, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey all became a part of that solution for ocean carriers. When we ended up weathering the storm in large part to our customers, we owe them a big thank you for choosing to pay the additional cost to get their cargo back to Baltimore. That commitment from them really allowed us to pivot quickly. We sent our trucks to Philadelphia and Norfolk to bring freight home. Our drayage capacity took a hit with added miles and cycle time, but the wheels kept turning. We were able to keep our team fully employed without cutting any employees, which is great.
Nice. So did it have a lasting impact, or did things kind of eventually return back to normal? Has it become normal yet?
I think the memory of it will stick with the port community forever. It was a big moment. I don't think anybody imagined possible. But in terms of long-term business loss, I don't see any lasting damage. Our customers have spent years building out their Mid-Atlantic customer base, and they've designed their supply chains around serving this region. That just doesn't change overnight or even in 11 weeks. So once the channel was clear, it took some time for vessel schedules to get back in rhythm, chassis and equipment pools to rebalance, and trucking patterns to normalize. But And then cargo came back, vessels came back, and operations stabilized. Baltimore remains a strong port, very strong customer base, and the community really showed how resilient it was through it.
Yeah, that's very true. So how will the new Howard Street Tunnel impact your business specifically and the Port of Baltimore a little more broadly?
Once it's finished, all the Midwest-bound cargo won't have to run through New York or Norfolk to get to Chicago double stacked, and Baltimore then becomes the closest and fastest path to shippers trying to get their cargo to the Midwest. So we expect to see some Midwest destined freight shift from New York, New Jersey, and Norfolk to Baltimore, thanks to better transit times and lower inland costs. For us and other logistics providers in the region, more cargo in Baltimore is kind of a rising tide lifts all boats situation. Sure, we might see some transloading shift directly onto rail instead of coming into our warehouse and being transloaded onto a truck, but the net effect should be positive. More volume throwing through Baltimore strengthens the port and all of us who support it. At the end of the day, more cargo coming here is exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, that's good. So have you seen any major impacts from the recent disruption caused by tariffs, or does it give you the opportunity to show your value by helping clients navigate this complex and rapidly evolving trade environment?
So we've seen certain importers feel the impact more than others, depending on where their cargo originates. Tariffs definitely create uncertainty, and nobody likes planning when the rules keep changing, but shelves still need to stay full, and companies don't want to risk losing their market share. So while we haven't seen a major volume drop, what we have seen is caution. Importers are hesitant to make big long-term supply chain moves into the U.S. until there's a little bit more clarity. In the meantime, though, cargo keeps coming. Cargo flows have stayed steady, but everyone's making decisions a little bit more carefully, and I'm sure the customs clearance folks are pulling their hair out in the process.
Right. I'm sure. So what keeps you up at night?
Oh, boy. First and foremost, the safety of our team, both in the warehouse and on the road, and the safety of everyone we share the roads with. Trucking and warehousing are high-risk environments, heavy equipment, tight spaces, fast-moving operations. Things can really go wrong in a hurry if safety isn't at the core of your operations. So we put a huge emphasis on safety, and our teams in both entities do an incredible job of watching out for each other. But my worst nightmare is someone getting seriously hurt. No delivery, no deadline or customer request is ever worth that. For us, the job isn't done when the freight's delivered. It's done when our people get home to their families. That's really what matters most. But right behind safety, I think making sure that Maryland stays a strong competitive freight hub. When the port grows, our people grow and the region grow with it, and we need more of that.
Yeah, love that. So what is the most misunderstood aspect of modern logistics that happens behind the scenes that clients would be surprised to learn?
Customers see the clean result, freight picked up, freight delivered, which is what they want to see and which is what we want them to see. What they don't see is all the coordination behind the scenes. So vessel timing, free time windows, chassis availability, rail bookings, driver hours, weather, port congestion, space constraints at the warehouse, and the list goes on. So if you have a logistics partner and they make it look easy, it's probably because they're staying ahead of issues and solving them before they ever reach you. Nice.
It's always interesting to, see how the sausage is made.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. A lot of hands in this cookie jar.
Exactly. So, final question. Who is someone in your network or industry that we should be paying attention to right now?
Whether he likes it or not, I'm going to spotlight Lewis Campion with the MMTA, the Maryland Motor Truck Association. Lewis and his team do a ton behind the scenes for trucking and logistics community. They advocate for safety, workforce development, and policies that help keep Maryland competitive as a cargo hub, and they really do great work for the people who keep this region moving. A perfect example of that was after the Key Bridge collapse, MMTA stepped up pretty immediately. They worked with state and federal partners to increase hours of service for intermodal haulers from 11 to 13 hours within the 14-hour duty window. They work to allow short-haul drivers diverted to other ports to use paper logs instead of electronic logs. And another important one, they work with state agencies to temporarily lift certain weight restrictions as well as waive IFTA requirements for interstate travel of non-apportioned trucks. So those quick actions really made a difference for Maryland trucking companies, drivers, and the broader supply chain. When the region needed support, they were there, and that's the kind of leadership that doesn't always make headlines, but absolutely makes a difference for Maryland logistics community and the local economy.
Shout out to you, friend. Well, Pete, thank you so much for joining us today. If people want to learn more about the Terminal Corporation or connect with you, where can they go?
They can go to terminalcorp.com and you can reach me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of The World Lens. To learn more about our events, insights, and member news, visit WTCI.org. And you can also connect with us on all social channels at WTC Institute. Until next time.